Hello, I'm Kelda Yoon, Canada's first triple gold medalist at the Olympics, making her triumphant return to Canada this afternoon. Swimming sensation and Toronto native Summer McIntosh touching down at Pearson Airport just a few hours ago. And that's where we find our Olivia Bowden. Now, Olivia McIntosh, only 17 years old, 4 medals, 3 of them gold, making history in Paris and returning to Canada, a true Olympic champion. What was the atmosphere like for her homecoming?
Well, Summer arrived here to a big crowd awaiting her return, and they couldn't wait to cheer her on. Summer McIntosh is coming home as not just the face of Canada's swim team. With 4 medals out of Paris, 3 gold and 1 silver, McIntosh is a certified superstar. She's now the first Canadian to bring home 3 gold medals at the Olympics. And she said this afternoon she's appreciative of the fanfare around her wins.
Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means the world. And even though we were all the way in France, we could feel all your guys' support and cheers from there. Yeah, it is pretty crazy to see all of this. I wasn't expecting it necessarily, but I mean, it means the world to see everyone's support for me and Team Canada.
The Canadian Olympic Committee has revoked the accreditation for the personal coach of sprinter Andre De Grasse, and it comes just a day before a big race. De Grasse is the defending Olympic champion in the 200 meters and one of Canada's highest profile athletes at the Games. He is already dealing with some disappointment after failing to reach the final of the men's 100-meter sprint. Heather Hiscox has the latest.
The COC says it made the move because of new information. 3 lawsuits have newly come to light alleging sexual and emotional assault involving coach Raina Ryder. Now, these are social media posts showing De Grasse attending an Olympic training camp just 6 weeks ago in Italy, sponsored and hosted by Raina Ryder. So what we're learning now is 3 women in Broward County, Florida, have filed lawsuits against him alleging sexual and emotional abuse and verbal harassment. Ryder is based in Florida. He's acknowledged as one of the world's top sprinting coaches. The allegations have not been proven in court. Ryder was previously sanctioned by the U.S. Center for Safe Sport for an inappropriate relationship with an athlete 26 years his junior. His probation of 12 months ended just last May. World Athletics had questioned Canada's decision to accredit him as De Grasse's personal coach because it ended so recently. But the COC in a statement today saying it had done so based on the information it had and on the fact that Ryder's probation had in fact ended and he had no other suspensions or sanctions and otherwise met our eligibility requirements. Now, on Sunday, August the 4th, the statement goes on to say, we learned of new information about the appropriateness of Mr. Ryder remaining accredited by Team Canada at the Paris 2024 Games. In discussion with Athletics Canada, it was agreed that Mr. Ryder's accreditation be revoked. That means he no longer has any access to warm-up or training facilities, no longer effectively can coach his athletes here. Ryder's lawyer, Ryan Stevens, issued a statement of his own today, criticizing the COC's move as unjust, saying it was done suddenly and without due process. There's been no comment from Andre De Grasse personally today or from any representation. But again, the semifinal for the men's 200 is set for less than 24 hours from now, with the final due to go on Thursday. Heather Hiscox, CBC News, Paris.
The mayor of Whitby is celebrating after the province confirmed a new hospital will be built there. The Premier and Minister of Health announcing millions of dollars in planning grants last week, including for the hospital. As Queen's Park reporter Lorena Redicop tells us, it comes after 5 years of pressure from the mayor and community members.
It's the symbol of Whitby's push for a hospital, part of years of pressure.
And a huge thank you to our community for making your voices heard.
Much of the pressure has come directly from the mayor herself, in winter accusing the province of dithering, not providing a promised planning grant, even though the land for the hospital was already chosen back in 2022.
2 years is too long, especially when it takes 10 years to build a new hospital.
She had a much different tone today.
I'm excited for what this means for our community to have proper access to care within our community.
The Premier and Health Minister, in a news conference last week, confirmed millions of dollars in planning grants for Lakeridge Health, including for the hospital.
We are building, with Lakeridge Health, a hospital in Whitby. Congratulations.
Today, the mayor sidestepped a question about why she wasn't invited to that event.
I'm going to say we're moving forward. Today is about celebrating what is great for our community.
Some residents have taken part in a letter-writing campaign to the Premier and their local MPP, asking for a hospital.
Because Lakeridge is overcrowded. My wife and I have experienced personally waiting 12 hours in an emergency to get care. We need a hospital very badly.
He'd like the build to happen much faster than the expected 10-year timeline. He's in his 80s, well aware he may not be around once the hospital is finished. Next in the process will be community consultations in a fast-growing community. 50,000 more people expected by 2031, according to the town.
We need to make sure that we're providing the right services to the community and give the community a chance that, have its input in what we're developing. At the end of the day, this is for you.
He says some healthcare improvements for the region will come much faster than the hospital will, since the province has promised other healthcare dollars across Lakeridge Health. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto police say a driver is in custody after crashing into a Café Tio patio earlier today. It happened just after 4 a.m. near Richmond and Yonge Streets. Police say they were called to the area after a vehicle flipped over and hit a patio. The Café Tio barrier was damaged, but no injuries were reported. Police say the driver of the vehicle refused to provide a roadside breath sample. He was arrested at the scene. Toronto police say its professional standards unit is investigating after an officer was caught on camera flipping off a member of the public. The gesture captured in a video circulating on social media.
We're doing our job, bro.
Yeah, I'm not your bro. I'm not your bro. It's a green light. You guys just missed the whole light cycle.
The video is undated and at an unspecified location. The person recording is seen arguing with two officers about parking in a loading zone in a marked police vehicle. Before driving off, one of the officers can be seen giving a middle finger to the person recording the interaction. In an email, Toronto police said they can't speak to the specifics of the incident, but acknowledged that the officer's response was not appropriate. It used to be you would print off copies of your resume, hand them out at your local mall, and often that would lead to a job. Well, that's not the reality for young people anymore. And at a youth employment summit held at City Hall today, groups are calling on the city to do more to create opportunities for them, as at a time when youth unemployment is drastically rising. Nauman Weingarten has more.
18-year-old Colleen Dudley says getting a summer job nowadays isn't what it used to be.
When I was 16, I feel like it was way easier for me to get jobs compared to now. There's a lot more kids that are out there striving for greatness, which I love to see, but it makes it so much difficult for everybody.
She, along with Toronto Youth Cabinet and other partners, are calling on the city to create 10,000 jobs for youth by next summer.
The young people are facing poverty, and we know the key to addressing poverty is employment. So we need to provide young people with a good job, a meaningful job.
Youth unemployment in Canada is the highest it's been since 2014, excluding the pandemic years, with Ontario beating the national average of 13.5%, rising to 16.5% in June. Nakai Palmer says he's been to 4 different malls, even going as far as Barrie to try and find a job, only to get turned down. He says that helping young people find work will do more than decrease the unemployment rates.
A lot of people are coming from single-parent households. Me specifically, it's very hard. So you turn to other things because that's all you know, and also it's all that's really available. The switch that turns in our brains when we decide that we turn to violence instead of crime, it's not only directly linked to employment, but it just has a lot to do with opportunities that we can't find, and guidance from mentorship that we don't have.
Answering questions from reporters today, Mayor Olivia Chow says the city has already met its goal for youth jobs this summer.
Yeah, so in total, 5,000 existing plus the 3,000 new ones for the summer. That's 8,000 in total, and we hit the target.
But those jobs are not exclusively for young people. And the Toronto Youth Cabinet says it still intends to get the city to add 10,000 jobs for those between 15 to 24 years old on top of that by next summer, which they say the city could do through partnerships with the private sector.
Our targets are clearly not ambitious. Now is the time for unprecedented and bold investments because young people deserve that.
But for Colleen, getting work experience now means a lot more than getting a paycheck.
But I know that I want to work in researching why people do the things that they do, their behavior, because it's very important to me. I've lived in the Jane and Finch area for a long time, and there's a lot of troubled kids.
With the experience she gains before starting post-secondary, she dreams of eventually mentoring other young teens where she grew up. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
The city says drivers can expect delays as they begin a 3-year project to fix the Richmond exit ramp from the DVP, as well as a number of nearby bridges. Besides the Don Valley Parkway off-ramp to Richmond Street, the city is set to rehabilitate the Eastern Avenue Bridge and the Richmond and Adelaide Street bridges over King Street. Work will include asphalt replacement and concrete repairs, as well as underside strengthening and rehabilitation. At least one lane on Eastern, Richmond, and Adelaide will remain open in each direction, but the DVP off-ramp will be fully closed for approximately 5 months to facilitate the work. The city says closures won't affect the TTC or emergency vehicle access. Construction expected to last until 2027. Welcome back. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has named her running mate as she vies for the presidency of the United States. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was announced as her choice this morning, the Democratic ticket making its first official appearance together tonight. Chris Reyes has the latest.
You can hear it, you can see it, you can feel it. A lot of energy here outside of Temple University. This crowd obviously very excited to see their official Democratic presidential ticket. This post on X, the first confirmation directly from Kamala Harris of her VP pick, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Harris praised his experience as a governor, coach, teacher, veteran, adding that he's delivered for working families. Shortly after that announcement, a cheering send-off as Walz left his home in St. Paul by motorcade, heading to the airport for Philadelphia, where the two candidates will hold a rally together for the first time.
I think his approval rating is really high. Republicans like him. He's smart. He's been around a long time. A lot of great relationships. And Minnesota, you could obviously hope that he could deliver Minnesota as well.
The Trump campaign hit back hard and quickly.
Harris just doubled down on her radical vision for America by tapping another left-wing extremist as her VP nominee.
Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance repeated those attacks at his own rally, also in Philadelphia.
He is the double-down choice for failed leadership. And again, Kamala Harris selected him. I don't know why, but I think it's because she's fundamentally a radical herself and she wanted a partner in crime.
President Joe Biden and former President Barack Obama both posted on social media praising Walz as the VP choice. Other Democrats voicing the same excitement.
I am excited. Tim Walz is a gentleman, competent, common sense, school teacher, National Guardsman, and someone who just is a decent, outstanding guy. And I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for Vice President Harris.
Harris will get to explain tonight exactly why she chose a popular Minnesota governor, and this crowd will get to hear it firsthand, and the entire country will get to see for the first time their chemistry, and will decide for themselves whether Harris's choice was the right one. Chris Reyes, CBC News, Philadelphia.
Today marks the 79th anniversary of the nuclear attack on Hiroshima, Japan during the Second World War. The annual memorial ceremony was held in the city's Peace Park. A bell ringing at 8:15 a.m. marked the moment when the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. Thousands were killed instantly and 50,000 buildings were destroyed. By the end of the year, 140,000 people had died from burns, radiation sickness, and other injuries. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Here is a live look at the Toronto skyline. It is currently cloudy and sitting at 21 degrees downtown. And that's how it's been for most of the day. There were some light showers throughout the afternoon, but as you can see, it didn't stop many from stepping outside and making the most of their day. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we can expect clear, sunny skies with a high of 25. Finally, tonight, your neighborhood community center could soon be getting a facelift. Toronto's mayor unveiling the details today at a rec center in Port Union. Chris Glover has more.
Just like a lot of community centers in Toronto, the Port Union Community Center here in Scarborough is in need of some improvements. So the mayor came to this facility today to announce a new community center refresh program. It's going to cost about $50 million, and by the end of next year, 30 community centers in Toronto across the city will see improvements. Things like painting will be done. That's what the mayor was here today. She was painting the kitchen of this community center, and she said, though, it will include structural fixes as well. And the areas of the city that have been chosen, the community centers that have been selected, are the highest priority, the highest number of people using those community centers, and the ones in the most need of fixing up. Here's more from Mayor Olivia Chow about why this project is so important.
It's not just paint. This is not just painting. Remember, this is furniture, fixing washrooms, hand dryers not working. You have to repair the whole unit, right? So you have to take it out and put it back in. So these appear to be small things, but you add it up, is quite a bit of money. And for many years, there hadn't been any increase of capital funding. Things have not been repaired. So I want to fix it.
And she said that $50 million is coming directly from the money that the city is saving by uploading the Gardner and the DVP to the provincial government to pay for those two highways within the city of Toronto. And Mayor Chow said that while this is a priority for her, fixing up these community centers, it doesn't detract or take away from the other priorities that she also has for the city, including fixing up roads and potholes, that sort of thing. This is extra money that the city was able to tap into by releasing those two highways to the province. And Mayor Chow said, in addition to these structural fixes and the painting and the refurbishment that's going to be going on to these community centers, they also have a commitment that by the end of this year, every single community center in the city of Toronto will have free public Wi-Fi so that everybody can have connectivity and charging stations at all of the community centers across the city. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.